You've probably heard of Sukuk al-Ijarah, and yeah, on paper it looks just about perfect. It's backed by a real, tangible asset, it's Sharia compliant, and it pays you a regular income, kind of like rent. It almost sounds too good to be true. So, what's the catch? I mean, really think about it. You own a piece of a building, some company pays rent on it, and you get your cut. It feels so solid, so real. You're not just buying a number on the screen. So what could possibly go wrong? And that's where things get interesting. Because that feeling of safety, well, it can hide a whole landscape of risks just lurking below the surface. But don't worry, to navigate those risks, all you need is the right map. And this is what we're going to use. Think of this as our official risk map. You wouldn't go on a big journey without a guide, right? Well, an investment journey is no different. This map is going to show us what to look for, what to understand, and most importantly, how to prepare.
So here it is, the whole landscape at a glance. We've broken it down into 7 main territories of risk. You've got the obvious ones like tenant and asset risk, but then you have the sneakier ones like legal and docs, or even Sharia compliance. Just knowing that these categories exist is the first huge step to actually managing them.
Now, we can't cover every single corner of this map today. That would take forever. So we're going to focus our little expedition on the 3 territories that are absolutely the most critical for any new investor to get their head around.
Okay, our first couple of stops on the map cover the 2 risks that probably already popped into your head. What happens if the tenant just stops paying, and what if something happens to the physical asset itself? Let's break them down.
All right, it's really crucial to see how these 2 are different. Over on the left, you've got tenant risk. This is all about money, about credit. If their business hits a wall or they just flat out default, your cash flow dries up. Simple as that. But on the right, asset risk is about the physical thing you invested in. If a building gets damaged or a piece of machinery becomes obsolete, its ability to earn you money is shot. 2 totally different problems, but they both have the same potential impact on your wallet.
So, how do you protect yourself from that? Well, it's not about luck. It's all about doing your homework. Before you even think about investing, you dig into their financials, you check their payment history, you make sure the contract spells out exactly what happens if they default. And then, after you invest, you have to demand regular reports to make sure the rent is actually being collected.
And it's pretty much the same story for managing the asset itself. It's all about being proactive. The contract has to be crystal clear about who's handling maintenance. You have to personally verify that the right insurance is in place. And just like with the rent, you need someone on the ground, a service agent, who is monitoring the asset and sending you regular reports on its condition.
All right, so we've covered the tenant and the asset. The tangible parts of the investment that you can see and touch. But honestly, one of the biggest dangers, it isn't out in the field. It's hidden right there in that stack of papers you sign. The fine print can literally make or break your entire investment.
And wow, this quote really hits the nail on the head. You can have the best asset in the world and a fantastic tenant, but if the legal paperwork is weak, the whole thing is basically built on sand.
So, what should you actually be looking for in that mountain of paper? Here's a super simple checklist of questions you need to ask. Does the prospectus actually tell you about all the risks? Is there hard proof that ownership was transferred? Does the lease contract cover things like maintenance and default? And this one is huge. Who is the representative whose only job is to protect your rights as an investor? Every single one of these documents is another layer of protection for you.
Okay, we've navigated some pretty complex territory. We've looked at specific risks, we've gone through checklists. Now let's zoom out. Let's equip you with a simple but really powerful GPS for managing risk in any situation. It really all comes down to 2 fundamental rules.
And this right here is the core lesson. Successful investing isn't about finding some magical risk-free asset. Spoiler alert, that doesn't exist. It's about accepting that risk is just part of the journey. The only real mistake, the only real flaw, is failing to identify it, plan for it, and then actively manage it. So how do you actually do that? How do you manage it? Well, your whole strategy can be boiled down to this. Before you put a single dollar in, your number 1 tool is the documentation. It has to be strong, complete, and clear. Then after you've invested, your protection comes from diligent reporting and solid governance. Are you getting the information you need, and is somebody holding the people in charge accountable?
So there you have it. We've given you the map, and we've given you a compass. You can see the territories of risk, and you know the fundamental rules of navigation. The question is no longer, is this safe, but rather, how is the risk being managed? With this map in hand, you're not just a passenger anymore. You're the navigator of your own investment journey.